Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan. Hey, this is Interesting Ideas because it's interesting ideas which may lead to greater insight in your life, in your business, in your service to others. And perhaps you'll have greater influence because of that, because you have some wisdom, insight, and truth in terms of who you are and what you do. And so ideas lead to insight, which can lead to influence, which can lead to impact. And that's the big word, impact. You actually make your mark. You make a difference. Something happened. Something changed. And then income may follow, can follow. And income is not just money. It's a lot of good things that can come to you. And that's what we're hoping to happen to you. That good things will come to you, happen to you, because you do the right things most of the time. Hey, the little thing before, that was the old sounder, very famous from the British Broadcasting Company. And it was my privilege and pleasure to spend some time with them in my past experience of life. And so I've always had, even though they're crazy in some respects, I still have my little BBC stopwatch and my BBC pin and my BBC certificate, because that was a great radio experience. And maybe that was how I came to perhaps actually invent, maybe, one of the first podcasts. Right. There are millions of people doing podcasts, and there are millions of podcasts, and this little one is just one of them. I'm helping other people produce a number of them, so my podcast is having children in terms of you people learning how to do it yourself. And I think I may have been close to the first, and I want to tell you that story and perhaps see if perhaps you can learn some things from it. Maybe I'm the inventor of the first podcast. Let's see where that story goes right now. Well, it's a turbulent Thursday. They oftentimes are, as we get ready for Friday, Future Leadership Day, where we're kind of calming things down a bit and getting ready for the weekend. And this weekend is a special holiday weekend in the United States. This is the Memorial Day weekend, and we're reminded that we should remember those who have paid for our freedom and for the lifestyle that we enjoy. And we try to make a point of doing that. Also, it kind of is the official start of summer. End of May, 1st of June, and many people say, okay, now the summertime has begun. And that leads to a kind of a summertime schedule, maybe a summertime way of living, as it has pretty well taken over even the northern part of the United States. And it's getting hot and warm in the southern and western part because summer has come. Here's the story that as I can give it to you, all right? And it's true, and I remember it this way. Here's the deal. When I left my mission work for an international broadcasting station many years ago, it's over 30 years ago now, I was broke. As my wife said, we had no money, we had no house, we had no car, we had nothing, and we were broke, and we had a kid in college, and we had to start life over again in our mid-40s. That was not any fun, but we came through it. And eventually what happened is that because I made a point of learning from my failure, and I had had a big failure. I mean, gigantic. Like I said, everything fell apart. Everything was gone. I started to be able to work my way into teaching and coaching and helping people, in effect, find the way to success, to coach them. And I had learned from my radio experience and from my mission experience and just from my life. And then I sat down and said, what does it take to be successful? And I read and listened to everything I could. And I was able finally to make a living, at least, by coaching people who were in the business world. They, as one of my friends said, I don't want to go to seminars, but I would pay you to come in and work with me individually. And so I became one of the first of the business coaches before that term was even used. In fact, it was a client friend of mine who actually called me one because I was doing this work with her. She had asked me to come in. I did a seminar for her company, and she enjoyed the seminar, said it was very helpful, but she didn't like to go to seminars, but she would pay me to come in and help her from time to time. And that's what I did. And then one time she just stopped and said, I know what you are. You're one of those things they call a business coach. Yeah, I've read about that. Brandy, you're a business coach. And I had never thought of myself that way, but that's what I did, and that's what I became. And so I truly was one of the first business coaches around. And I've been at it for well over 30 years now. However, before that, I'd been a broadcaster and had a successful career doing that. And here's what happened. I discovered that I wanted to have a way. Let's say I sat down with you and you're a man or a woman who has a significant entrepreneurial venture, and we do some coaching. And now, as a good coach and a consultant, I should issue you a report, something that you can read about, what happened, notes, kind of a summary. Well, what I discovered is that that's a lot of work, and for the most part, they didn't want to read the summary. And so I said, what can I do? One of the things I'm good at is I'm good at talking. And then I saw what was, at that time, a fairly valuable piece of equipment. It was one of the top-of-the-line cassette recorders. I mean, the best. It wasn't, just one of those little ones. This was a broadcast quality recorder, which you used and which I used to record interviews for people for international radio. And I was sitting there. I said, you know what? I think, let me try this. And I went out and I found really wasn't hard, cassettes. Yeah, blank cassettes. And I got a whole bunch of 10 and 15-minute cassettes. And what happened is that after I did a podcast, did a coaching session, I sat down and made some notes, and then I flipped on the recorder, stood just as I am right now in front of my broadcast quality microphone, and I gave a little talk, a little summary, told some stories, gave some ideas, and very much kind of summarized and gave an assignment and signed off. And then I dropped it in the mail. And they loved it. As one guy said, nothing to read, nothing that my secretary can snoop at. All I do is I grab your cassette, and when I'm driving, I put it in the car cassette player and I listen to you. And you've got energy and personality. It's a whole lot more interesting and memorable than reading some dumb consulting memo or, 3 or 4 pages of stuff that I have to read. And that's what I did. And so, in effect, it was a little 10-minute radio program just for them, and they could listen to it anytime they want, and they could repeat it anytime they want, which many of them did, because I had taught the idea that oftentimes you need to listen to something 3 to 5 times to kind of set it in and remember it. Actually, it's called the rule of 7 is the best, and my coach had made me listen to him 7 times on his cassette. So that's what I did. And it was just for them. It wasn't generic. It wasn't just one I took off the shelf. I made it just for them and their situation. It was a personal, on-demand little radio program. And what happened is some of them would begin to share it with their friends. They said, hey, this is my coach. He's got some good ideas. Listen to him. And that's where I got some of my business. They called up and, hey, Ralph gave me that little cassette you gave to him, and that sounded pretty helpful. Maybe you could be my coach? There we go. So I'm just wondering, and I didn't find anybody else had ever done this before. It seemed I was the only one who was doing it. One time Al Gore said that he invented the internet, which was not quite so. So I can't say that I invented the first podcast, but I certainly invented the first thing like a podcast today, in which for an individual person, I made a personal little audio radio program just for them that they could listen to whenever they wanted to and share it with others and keep it for them. And that was the deal. And that's how my coaching career took off. And that's where I learned that, I really like this radio stuff. I don't like to type. I hate texting. But I'm much better at talking and sharing and storytelling and perhaps putting on a little bit of a performance. There we go. And that's what I'm doing now for you, except that this is for you, but obviously it could be for a number of others. But I hope you can perhaps say, what can I do in my business that would be unique and different? See, nobody in the coaching business was doing that. None of them. Because I was a broadcaster and had a good broadcast machine, I was able to do it. What can you do that most of your competition can't do? What makes you unique? As I say, two of the most powerful words in business are, we're different. We're different. We're different. Yeah, we're not like everybody else. If you want somebody like everybody else, choose somebody who's like everybody else. If you want someone who's different and unique and has a unique set of skills and qualities, by the way, that means I might not be the best fit for you. But if it does, you will have a unique, custom experience. No coaching program I've ever done has been just like another. They've always been different and personal and unique to that person or that audience. And I've never done quite the same podcast program. They're always different. Now, I talk about a lot of the same things from time to time, but you won't find me doing many repeats. And if I do, it's only because it's been on demand. They want to hear it again. So there we go, my friends. Please, I can help you become a podcaster, a broadcaster, because that will be how you can be different. There are thousands and there are hundreds of thousands and there may be millions of people in the same business you are in. I specialize in helping you be different, look different, act different, perform different, and communicate in powerful, effective, and different ways. I help you reach your audience and connect with them so that they will do something, that they will trust you, they will listen to you, they will buy from you, and they will recommend you to others. And that's what you want. That's my story, at least a part of it. And this has been Stan the broadcast man, and thank you for giving me these 15 minutes. We'll close it down and wish you all the best. Till next time. Bye for now.